So that, I give speeches like that. Like, always present your best foot forward, because your life might not be edited, but it certainly is watched.
Yeah.
And so when you give somebody not your best foot forward, you give somebody a bad attitude, that's all they're going to remember about you. Despite all of the good things you've done or been nice to them in other times, they're going to remember that one time. And that guy was a jerk. Scott wouldn't sign my autograph, man. F that guy.
It's Brian and Brad. Grab your seat. Real talk served with a boozy beat. Tune in, don't even blink, 'cause real estate makes us drink.
Whoops.
So it was a good time.
Always have a good time, Brian. You know that.
All right.
All right. I look good.
You do. Yeah, you are a good looking man. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate Makes Us Drink. This is a Success Happy Hour. Brian Quinlan here from Daniels Real Estate.
Brad Niccum from Nest Mortgage Group.
Glad you remembered who you were, sir. You can't tell because we're sitting down, but next to me is a giant human. Stands close to 7 feet tall. Are you actually? 6'11". Former NBA basketball player. Sir, please tell the folks who you are.
My name is Scot Pollard, and I am not an alcoholic.
Wrong meeting.
I don't have a house like this. Just saying. It's impressive. Yeah, it's impressive. I don't mean to make fun of you, Brad, but I'm making fun of you right now.
Hey,
this is awesome.
There's a reason we shoot the show here.
Because I'd probably be an alcoholic if I had this much in my house, but no, I don't drink, anymore. So
keep in mind, an alcoholic is somebody who quit.
Exactly.
So I can't claim that. My mama didn't raise no quitter.
No.
Well, there you go. Well, since we're talking about drinking, Brad, what are you consuming today?
Man, I am drinking a brand new brand of tequila called Zumbador, which is a hummingbird, right, in Mexico, in Spanish. So this is a brand new tequila. I just did an interview with Roberto and Sarah, and they talk about their production method and the traditional way that they make this tequila. The dude's 35 years old. He owns a ranch where they grow agave. He built his own distillery, and now he has his own tequila brand, and he's 35 years old.
Holy moly.
Unbelievable. The guy's done more at 35 than most people get done their whole life, and the tequila's fantastic. It's a great price, like $25 a bottle.
Could you buy it locally?
You can't yet, but you can buy it from their website and have it shipped, and there's probably a certain amount you probably get free shipping, I would think, but pretty great tequila. It's a great budget brand, and it'll be everywhere soon.
Super cool.
What do you got?
All right. Well, today we've gone the Quaffon route out of Nashville, right?
You've had that here before.
I have. Honestly, we did a little shifting of our schedule, so I didn't have a chance to get out to the liquor store to hit the singles aisle, and not picking up ladies, picking up beers. And so this was in the fridge. So Quaffon 6-foot blonde. My blonde is about 5'7", I think, back home. She may even tell you she's not blonde. Either way. Golden ale, high quality, big fan. There we go.
Cheers. Scott's got some high quality water over there.
High quality H2O.
Well, Scott, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I was just at Hard Truth Distillery, actually, where I heard the Quaffon story and all that. That's a really cool place. Have you guys been?
Yeah,
I have been, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I did a whole distillery tour down there.
Yeah, that place is really impressive.
It is quite cool.
And even though we're talking about Quaffon, the show is sponsored by Sun King.
That's correct.
So make sure that you grab your Sun King beer wherever you can find it.
I hit up Kevin. We don't know Steve. We've had Kevin on the show from Sun King.
Yep.
And anyways, I hit him up over the weekend, so I got to go get some more beers from Kevin. But definitely loving the Sun King. So thanks to our friends at Sun King. All right,
here. Crack open a cold sunlight cream ale from Sun King, or mix it up with Weemac, Osiris, or a seasonal like Playhard. 4 indie taproom locations, or find it wherever you grab your beer. Sun King, Indiana brewed, summer approved.
All right, Scott. How do you know Brad?
Brad, let's see. It's been, I think, 2 years. I used to be a realtor. I'm not anymore, but my wife is still. And so we had kind of met through that industry a little bit. But then a couple years ago, this underhanded fellow talked us into refinancing our house. So, screwed me over on rates.
I think I said, yeah, I probably can refinance you if you want to.
We're buried in debt now. It's all Brad's fault. Yeah. Thanks, Brad.
You're welcome, Scott.
Really nice knowing him.
Appreciate you.
I'm surprised you came out with that story.
No, it's that's all. But all of it's true except the part where Brad screwed us over.
All right.
Like he did help us refinance our house, and it's gone really well. So.
Awesome. All right. Now, you guys have a bonding over part of your history, which is Survivor. I have a loose connection to you, having just met you today. But I'm a big sports guy, basketball especially, and so I've kind of followed you loosely from your Kansas days, and then of course we're here with the Pacers, and I saw your license plate outside. So let's get a little background. So you don't have to go necessarily way back to where it all started, but wherever you'd like to begin with that.
Well, I was born a poor black child.
Wow, that's an interesting story.
Started crying right in the beginning.
That's Steve Martin, the jerk. But no, I was born in Utah, raised in San Diego, youngest of 6. My whole family's giant. I'm small in my family. That's why I say I'm 6'11", because when I would round up, my brothers that are taller than me used to beat the shit out of me.
Oh, my.
Wow.
I'm 6'11". 2 of them are 7 feet, one's 7'3". My oldest brother is the shortest. He's only 6'9".
Holy cow.
My sister's 6'2". My dad was 6'9". My mom's 6'2". So, yeah, I'm from a big family in numbers and height. Wow. And there's no giantism or Marfans or any of that stuff. People ask me because I've been having heart issues lately. They're like, do you have one of those things, the giantism? I'm like, no. I'm not going to grow till I die.
Okay.
That's giantism.
Okay.
Marfans is when everybody in your family is typically the same height and you're a giant. And that actually, spoiler alert, is probably 80 to 90% of the NBA.
Oh,
no kidding.
Interesting. Okay.
And what Marfans does is it causes you to have really long fingers, really long toes, long appendages. So basically an NBA player.
For real. Yeah.
Not an IndyCar racer.
Abnormal height and sometimes a concave chest, very thin build. Abraham Lincoln, for example, they think he had Marfans. I have a very good friend that's 6'9". He has Marfans. Everybody in his family is the same height. He's already had open heart surgery.
Wow.
To fix a valve, which is common. But it hits you later in life, and not everybody is subject to those heart issues. But anyway, I digress.
It's okay.
Went to college at the University of Kansas. I was ranked in high school number 33 in the country at one point.
Wow.
Cool.
So I had my pick, and Roy Williams won me over. He was the coach of Kansas at the time, number 7. I didn't want to go that far east. I didn't know exactly where Lawrence, Kansas was, being from the West Coast.
There's not much there.
I did not know about the history of Kansas and all the important things that make Kansas basketball wonderful, make the city of Lawrence special in our nation's history. For example, it was founded by people from Lawrence, Massachusetts to stop the spread of slavery westward. I could go off on that. I was a history guy. And so
I did not know that.
It's the colors are crimson and blue because of Harvard and Yale.
Okay.
And that's why it's called the Ivy League School of the Midwest, the Harvard Midwest, however you want to say it. But that's what they jokingly refer it to because Lawrence, Kansas was found from Lawrence, Massachusetts. The main street is Massachusetts Ave. And anyway, I can go off on that.
This is all fascinating.
That's a 1 hour episode.
Okay. We'll bring you back for that one.
I played with NBA players my whole career. I played behind Greg Ostertag, who was a first-round pick and 12-year NBA player my first 2 years. And then I came off the bench, behind him. And then I finally started my junior and senior year. And that's when my senior year, Coach Williams was like, hey, there's some NBA scouts here. I was like, yeah, Coach, there's always NBA scouts here. And he goes,
we're Kansas.
He goes, I was like, that's Paul Pierce right there, right? Yeah. That's Raef LaFrentz. There's Jacques Vaughn. I'm like, yeah, I know there's NBA scouts here.
Dropping names. I love it.
Those are the other 3 out of my starting 5. And the other one was Jared Haas, who was just the latest job, was the head coach at Stanford. And Jared would have had a chance at the NBA, but he played our senior year with his wrist broken and a shooting hand. So when he got it fixed, it was too late to get any tryouts. And he just went straight into coaching. But got drafted first round by the Detroit Pistons.
Woo!
19th pick. I could go off on how that happened. Funny story. This is actually true. I don't know if you've heard of Greg Popovich.
Yep.
He just retired, and he was
the winningest coach in NBA history now.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's pretty close.
I don't know because some of those guys just they don't have more wins than losses, but they have the most wins.
Sure.
Like Bill Fitch.
Sure. Long career.
Yeah. Like losing record, but like 1,000 wins or something like that. Yeah. When the draft was coming up, and I confirmed this in person with Pop after I retired from the NBA when I was doing broadcasting for the Pacers, actually, the broadcast team put me up to it. I interviewed him post game, and I said, Coach, is it true that there was a discussion when you guys had the first pick of the draft in 1997 to pick me instead of Tim Duncan? And he said, it was a brief discussion. But it was true.
Wow.
I was very impressive in my pre-draft workouts, and he confirmed, he said, obviously there's a Kansas connection. He used to coach at Kansas under Larry Brown. So did R.C. Buford, the still current GM of the San Antonio Spurs. There's been a pipeline. Larry Brown went to coach at San Antonio, and they know Bill Self, they know Roy Williams. And so there's been a Kansas pipeline throughout the years. And the reason that Pop gave was that I was just more NBA ready than Tim at the time. We played against each other our freshman year, and I busted his ass. And he got better, and I got a little better. And I make that story real, and I say that because in the most humble way possible, what a tragedy it would have been if the San Antonio Spurs have picked me instead of Tim Duncan for them. It'd be great for me.
Right? You would have been a power forward with David Robinson.
I would have played with David Robinson
Not bad.
and Tony Parker in the gang, and I may not have gotten a second contract, but I would have gotten a rookie contract with the San Antonio Spurs. So anyway, 11 years in the NBA, retired here, got divorced here, got remarried in Colorado, but we live here, raising kids in Carmel, Indiana, and done a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We could, again, that's a whole other episode.
All right. So doing a little research today, you played in 2 NBA finals, one with Cleveland that lost to the Spurs. And then your last year, you were on the Celtics that won the title.
So technically I played in the finals with Cleveland. I was not active duty with the Celtics.
Oh, okay.
I had had career-ending surgery already. And they replaced me with PJ Brown, another veteran, old guy. But yes, I've been to the Western Conference Finals, played a lot in those, played in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals with the Cavs, and won it all with Boston my last year. And that was a good year to hang it up because I couldn't really walk.
You said you were injured, done for the season at that point, but I assume you get a ring for that, right?
I have a ring, and I don't wear it much anymore, but I am proud of that ring because it's for all the teams I was on. I was very fortunate to always be on a good team. 3 years of varsity, 4 years of college, 11 years in the NBA. My only time I never played in the postseason was my rookie year in the NBA.
Wow.
Every other team I was on had a chance. So I never won one, especially my senior year. We were ranked number 1 from start to finish, even after we lost one game. But we were undefeated up to 23-0. 4 first-round picks, 2 of them were lottery picks, Paul Pierce and Raef LaFrentz the next year, after Jock and I were first-round picks that year in 97. So I've always been on really good, talented teams. I know how to win. I am a winner. If you don't believe me, just let me introduce you to Mrs. Pollard.
He did outkick his coverage on that
one. And so there's, there's something to that and life and lessons. And so I do public speaking and all that because I have a lot of stories.
But this is amazing because I thought you were famous because of Survivor.
Tell that story because that's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, like I'm a huge Survivor fan. And, Kevin Fleck, one of my loan officers that knows Scott very well, is like, yeah, you know Scot Pollard? And I was like, yeah, he was on Survivor. And he looked at me, he's like, he was an NBA player. I was like, yeah, but he was on Survivor. Season 32, it was amazing. And he got completely blindsided by a little Asian guy that didn't stick to his word, and he blasted him out of the show. So, yeah, I remember that very well.
Yeah.
So sad.
That was like a super idol or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they never used them again. But the super idol was, the idea was if you could trust another player that had an idol, or if you got 2 yourself, but nobody did that.
Right.
But if you had somebody you could trust, that you could go to the vote and get voted out. But if they wanted to share the idol with you, you could go connect the idols. You both lose your idol, but you save the one that gets the super idol. and then the next most votes gets voted out. So what Ty didn't know at the time, and I don't know if he still doesn't know, but what he didn't know is the girls didn't trust him either.
Right.
And they talked him into betraying me, but they voted him the second most votes.
Yep.
So if he had given me his idol, he would have been voted out.
Oh,
Because he had the second most votes. They split the vote because they had enough.
They wanted to get one of you out.
And one of us was going home. And Ty didn't do that because he thought they were going to vote him out. He did it because he didn't want to give up his idol. He was just that was his mindset. And by the way, Ty and I get along off the show. Like, we're really good friends, actually. We went to dinner shortly after the show out in San Francisco with him and his boyfriend. And they're great people. And so I don't mean to like say, oh man, screw Ty, because it's just.
Well, I did. I was mad.
We got death threats. My wife was pregnant at the time. She got social media threats. Like, I hope your baby's born, stillborn. Like,
are you serious?
Oh, dude, Survivor fans. There's people on the internet that are just horrible.
People are horrible on the internet. I agree with you.
So we just, you just take a break and go, oh yeah, that's right. Those are people behind the keyboard. They're just, they're
keyboard warriors.
We call them trolls.
Whatever it comes into their little brainiums, and then there's no repercussions, And those usually are the people that when they meet me in person are the biggest fans, and they're like, oh my God, can I get a picture?
Yeah.
I was the one that told you to kill yourself. Like,
yeah.
No. How
How
about no?
yeah.
Off.
Because words mean something.
Right. Words do mean things. Exactly.
So you're lucky I'm not going to punch you in the face, but I don't want to pay you to punch you in the face because
Right.
you'll just simple.
Right. So it seems like the friendships that are made on the show, I know it's under such extreme situations that friendships are bound quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Do those really last after the show? Like, do you still have friends that you're friends with after this many years?
Jason from my season and we still keep in touch regularly. We're the only ones that married with kids.
Okay.
And so, we got made into villains and we laughed because we were like, we're the only people that actually have a life.
Right.
Everybody else was single or starving for attention.
Very young too.
And, well, except for Joe, who was like the second
Joe
oldest player ever.
Yeah.
And Joe was, he had married and had adult children, but we had young kids that we were playing to support our family. Like, both of us were like, hey man, I want to win money.
Right.
It's not like we're sitting here going, I just want to be famous.
Right.
I already was.
Yeah, exactly. You went there already famous.
So I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to make some money. It's going to be awesome. And I did. It was the last. But yeah, Jason and I keep in touch, mostly through social media, but once in a while we'll text each other like, hey, brother, how you doing? But yeah, great dude. And, even like there's everybody except one person that if I saw them, I would give them a hug. And that person is just their thing. Like, I would hug them, but they thought
they have a wall.
They thought that the game show was real.
Yeah.
so it's like, oh well, there's no helping that.
Yeah, no, you can't help that at all.
So one of the things you were known for, second, maybe latter half of your NBA career, was odd hairstyles, which I feel kind of makes you stand out. So I wonder, how did you wind up on Survivor? Did it have anything to do with the kind of outlandish popularity of your hairstyles that like, hey, we want this? Or did you reach out to Survivor and like, I'd like to be on the show?
So one correction, I will say, I dyed my hair the first time in 7th grade.
Okay.
It wasn't the latter part of my NBA career.
Gotcha.
It was my entire life. And so there's that. But they reached out to me the first time in 2011. And as I mentioned before, I was getting divorced at that point, and it wasn't a good time for me to leave the country for 7 weeks. It just didn't seem
There would have been a moving truck cleaning out everything.
it wasn't a good time for me. And so I told him no, and also that I've never seen the show. And so I was like, I don't really care. And then they reached out again in 2014, and that season actually was the first iteration of Brains, Brawn, Beauty, and they took Clifford Robinson.
Oh, okay.
From the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
He was a basketball player too.
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that.
And so that in 2014, we married. My wife is a big Survivor, not a big Survivor fan, but she's actually been on the show or watched the show and wanted to be on the show. And so she was like, "Are they doing a couple season?" And I was like,
Please.
I don't know what that is, but they didn't say anything about
Yeah,
it.
you weren't invited.
They just called me again and they were like, "Hey, can you go now?" And I was like, "It's up to you." And she was like, "Yeah, go, have fun." So that's what happened. During casting, I did casting like everybody else. And I could give you there'd be 3 podcasts about that one. It's interesting. There's no talking. two other contestants. Only the producers talk. You're not allowed to interact with each other. And they have people in the room to make sure. And you stay in your own room, and there's people in the hallway making sure you don't sneak out and talk to anybody. Because just in case you end up on the same season, they don't want you to have any previous relationship that they didn't get on TV. And so it just helps with the validity of the show that nobody gets to talk to each other during casting. But I went back twice, and then they said, yeah, come on. And they made me watch some DVDs of previous seasons. Cliff's season was one of them. The season Jeff Kent, the baseball player, was on. Because I was an athlete. They were like, here's what athletes did before. One of them told him who he was. The other one lied, and everybody did.
Right?
Jeff Kent was the one that said he was a motorcycle dealer in Dallas or something.
Yeah, everybody knew.
F that guy. They voted him off. Like, we knew the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Kent played in a big market.
He was a Hall of Famer.
All right.
Yeah, that's like
Cliff played in Portland.
that's like having Elvis on the show and saying, "No, I just work at a donut store."
Atlanta Braves, like the most televised TV show. Their owner owned the channel.
Exactly.
They were on TV.
I even knew he was a baseball player.
All right, so we're just going down the Survivor tunnel here. So, going into the show, what did you expect? And then, while on the show, did it kind of live up to that or not?
Despite them telling you exactly what is going to happen, I fully expected there to be some breaks. I fully expected that it was like, okay, cut. You can chill out for a while.
We're going to the mall.
Here's a coffee, or or we'll start the fire for you, or something like that. Or like that. The surviving part is 100% real.
No kidding.
They don't give you anything. At least my season, we didn't get rice.
Did you get to brush your teeth?
No, I found a toothbrush on the beach, and I was going to boil it in water and brush my teeth. They took it away. Found a bottle on the beach. I was going to use it to carry extra water around because I was drinking water like crazy, trying to stay hydrated. I made it 28 days in the game. I lost 46 pounds.
And it was one of the hottest seasons.
It was Cambodia.
Yeah, it was so hot and humid and crazy.
Well, May and April actually is the hottest month in Southeast Asia. I've been to Thailand quite a bit. My wife is from there. Or what? Her mom is from there.
Gotcha.
But so we have family there, and all four of my kids are mixed. So I've been to Thailand. My first time was 1995. So that's the hottest month of the year is April. And we didn't have showers. And so the surviving part was real. There was infections. I could go off on all the stuff that happened with infections, sickness, and all that.
That was actually one of the shows that has the most medical attention of any of the survivors.
You go to medical every day.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They if there's a challenge, that's the only time you're not allowed to talk, and the only time the cameras are off is they say lockdown, and everybody has to face back to back. Face back to back. That's like jumbo shrimp.
Government worker.
They can't. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So they say lockdown and nobody can talk. Cameras are off, and then and again, this is my season's experience. We had to wait with the tiki torches for the helicopter to come do the flyby and film us walking down the beach as if we were walking to the tribal council, whichever it was. And so we would wait, and then all of a sudden they'd go, okay, helicopter's here, line up, and we'd line up and walk down the beach as if we're walking to the challenge, and then the helicopter would get the footage, and they go, all right, here's your tiki torches, get in the boats, and we'd take the boats over to the island where the challenge was, or tribal, because they were different islands. We were on a different island from Brain, we were on a different island from Brawn, Beauty, we were Brawn. And so every time we went somewhere, it was in a boat. And same thing, there's a producer in the boat, making sure nobody talks to each other, no gestures.
Oh, so you had to be quiet even in the boat.
Quiet. And so it was a couple hours every day. It was like an hour, because the boat ride was like 35, 45 minutes each way.
So because it wasn't on camera, they didn't want you socializing at all?
They don't want anything to happen, any action to happen with the cameras not rolling. And they can't roll in the boat because it loses the authenticity of walking to try.
Yeah, right.
And then you go in and you sit in a tent, same thing. When you get to the island, you sit in a tent facing each other, can't talk to each other. And one by one, you go to medical. And then one by one, you go to wardrobe because they take a picture. They want you to look the same. Why?
So you can edit and cut it together.
So that one day, some reaction that you have might fit a different part
different day.
better.
You've got to cry that you can't go to prom, even though prom was yesterday. And you win. You had a great time.
So that probably was the hardest part for me, was being quiet.
Shocker.
Because, they'd go lockdown and it's like, oh, all right. I'd want to start singing dumb songs because that's what I do. And so like doing a podcast with these guys, there's a bunch of tequila that I'm not drinking. That's the kind of stuff I do. And so they're like, no. And then they'd be on the other island, on the other side of the island doing testimonials, which, by the way, that's how they make the action happen. Oh,
yeah.
You can be tighter than a drum with somebody, and they'll take them to the testimonial. That's the only time you're alone with a camera on, and they grill you. Oh, sure you can trust Ty?
Yeah, oh, no kidding.
We're good. Well, I heard him say this. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, you sure?
He's got a tattoo of your ex-wife on his back.
One of my strategies in the game was watching people before and after testimonial, because I play poker, and I'm making sure they come back and they're looking me in the eye.
Oh, because if they don't,
and if they're too much, it's like, they got you, you're going to betray me. And if it wasn't enough, it was like, I got you, they're going to betray me.
Wow.
So you just had to see if they were changing their attitude when they came back from testimonial. But anyway, somebody would be over there talking, and I'm over here on the island just picking up rocks or throwing stuff around or going for a swim or whatever. And I'm singing dumb songs. They come.
I'm picking up rocks.
Yeah. They're like,
I found a stick.
Scott, shut up. I'm like, what? I'm just singing a song. They're like, we don't have the rights to Frank Sinatra. We can hear you on the testimonial.
You're too good.
I was like, well, okay, then I'm going to make up songs. And they're like, fine, but not so loud because we keep hearing you on the testimonial. I was like, that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, you need to tighten up your mic.
You problem. Yeah.
I've got some rocks.
I've got songs in my heart.
And rocks.
And I'm throwing rocks in the water because I don't have anything else to do.
So the time, and I don't watch Survivor. I have in the past, but just don't really care for it. Anyway, because I feel like I just get the sense that there's a fair amount of it that's scripted. So how would you answer that?
Now, wait a second. I didn't know we were going to have a podcast to ruin my favorite show.
So like I said, the surviving part is real, 100%. Like there's no breaks. The cameras are on all the time except for the aforementioned issues. Like even at night, they'll put up a big wall of infrared lights.
Yeah.
And so that you don't see it, obviously. But at night, they put up this big wall right by where you're sleeping so that they can catch you. Right. Somebody sneaks out and goes looking for an idol in the middle of the dark, which, unless it was a moonlit night, you couldn't see anything anyway.
Or they hand you a flashlight.
Yeah. But, because of wardrobe, because of, the time in between tribal challenge or tribal
council,
that or a challenge.
And challenge.
Then in my season, it was 39 days. And they told us it was about 3 days of real life for one episode. So if you think back in the last 72 hours of your life, have you done something smart, dumb, funny, brain dead, mean, nice? They have 72 hours of you and all of your emotions to splice together and make it fit so that they can construct
Tell a story.
At least an attitude. You said and did all the things you said and did, but it may not be what you said and did at that exact moment that fits where they put it in.
The ultimate taken out of context.
Yeah.
That was my today, by the way. That's called being in the mortgage business.
And so that, I give speeches like that. Like always present your best foot forward because your life might not be edited, but it certainly is watched.
Yeah.
And so when you give somebody not your best foot forward, you give somebody a bad attitude, that's all they're going to remember about you. Despite all of the good things you've done or been nice to them in other times, they're going to remember that one time. And that guy was a jerk. Scott wouldn't sign my autograph, man. F that guy.
Yeah, we don't get to edit our lives.
Yeah. You don't. And so that was my experience. And again, I'm not saying this to be sour grapes. I signed up for reality TV. I knew exactly what to expect. And as soon as I saw the other tattooed guy with a beard, I was like, Jason, we're probably going to be villains. And we played it up. We had a blast with it because, again, we were trying to win money for our families.
Right.
We were not trying to win money and be famous. We were trying to win money for our families. So we were like, hey, this might get us further. Let's do this. And let's try to use Ty. Let's try to use this person or whatever. And that was our strategy. So, when it came out and all of a sudden I was like, whoa, I'm a villain. Okay. And I kind of laughed. And then all of a sudden I'm getting death threats on the internet because of the way they edited my
That's crazy.
words and my phrases. Like, why don't you just do this? there's one like people are like, I can't believe you told that girl to be a cheerleader. I was like, well, that's what she was being. Did I say it exactly when she said that? No, but I did say it.
Right.
I said it at a different time. I was like, hey, this is what you're good at. Just do that. And they edited it like she was saying something to me, and I immediately said,
I want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You should be a cheerleader.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and again, I'm not bitter. I had a blast on the island. The best part was when I got voted out and I had 11 more days, because then it was all you could eat.
I was going to ask. Okay,
Yeah, I was
so
gonna
what
say
happened?
you go to like a beautiful hotel and
So no, pre-jury in Cambodia. Pre-show, we went to a place on the beach. The kitchen was outside. The bar was outside with a roof. There was a patio, and there was a couple bungalows that had walls.
is it kind of like the sanctuary today where they get to go and eat and like on when they win a challenge?
He doesn't watch the show.
Oh, you don't watch the show.
But they called it Ponderosa when I played. And that was our pre-show. Like, we were there for 3 days doing Survivor School. So again, no talking. You can eat this. If you find this, you can eat it. If you see this, run. If you see this and it bites you, it's going to ruin your day, but it won't kill you. Don't step on this in the ocean. It will kill you. Stuff like that, because Cambodia has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so for 3 days there, you're just kind of eating, drinking. They have they had a big tub of beer. They had hard liquor if you wanted it. And sodas and water, of course. But that was pre-show. And so that's where we went as you get voted off. But spoiler alert, I made the jury. Pre-jury people, they took them all away.
Oh.
So when
they
jury
left
started,
they left the island.
the first jury member went back to Ponderosa alone.
Oh.
And all the pre-jury people, I hear through the grapevine, went on an amazing trip through Southeast Asia.
Wow.
They went to Phnom Penh. They went to Bangkok. They went to Vietnam. They saw temples. They stayed in hotels. And they only stay for like a day or two because they don't want word to get out around the world
who they are.
Who's out.
Yeah, who's out. Yeah.
Because they'll tell people. They've learned all this over years of doing Survivor. And so they went on an amazing vacation. We, as jury members, went back to Ponderosa. So basically outdoors still, because the bungalows, even with the bed, it was still open air. Like you could see the beach between the slats and the floors.
And I'm going to guess your bed wasn't made for somebody 6'11".
That was fine. I think it was a queen, maybe a small king. It wasn't a full king, but it was big enough. I slept diagonally.
Okay.
I was happy to be on a bed after sleeping.
For some reason, I pictured somewhere around your knees, everything sticking out.
I feel like that may have been a lifelong problem, though.
Yes.
Beds,
you just
learn how to deal with
You
that.
get used to dealing with stuff like that. So that wasn't the biggest problem. But 11 days of just eating, drinking back at Ponderosa, being on the beach, which I grew up around the beach. So I was like, this is awesome. The only thing that was bad is I missed my family.
Yeah.
I wanted my family to be there on vacation with me. So I'd go swimming to try to drown my tears.
There you go.
I miss my wife and children.
While you and the jury members all start to congregate, are you discussing those who are left?
100%. That's all we do.
That's all you got. That's all there is, isn't
We go
there?
to the tribal challenges and watch them talk to each other.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Councils.
Yeah, tribal council.
We go to the tribal councils and we watch them interact. And we're like,
Actually, do you get to go to the challenges and watch those?
no. I didn't get to watch the challenges, because here's the thing about challenges. They have all the cameras preset and you get one take.
Yeah.
So if one of the jury members happens to be in
Oh, yeah.
it's like,
That take is screwed.
So
Yeah.
that
they,
makes sense.
They did not allow us to do that. And that's also a long, quiet time. Oh, because when there was 18 of us, 3 groups, each group would go through the entire challenge with Jeff, and you can ask as many questions as you want. And you can't talk to each other. You can only ask a question of Jeff when he's ready for a question.
When he does that quick little, you're going to do this, everybody understand, and everybody says yes. They've already gone through a process of being able to ask questions about the entire challenge.
Go lockdown right after that, and then it's about an hour and a half when there's 3 tribes, because each tribe goes through individually to ask their own questions about strategy.
Oh, okay.
But you would hear some of their questions. It's like, it's water. Is this water? How deep is this water?
Is this the kind of water I can drown in?
Can we climb over the log or under the log? Just figure that out.
People do ask dumb questions.
Oh, my Lord. So anyway, it would take a long time to get through each group asking about this particular challenge. And so by the time the challenge, you're back on the mat, and then he goes, and Survivor's ready. It's an hour and a half in between when he says, okay, if you have any questions.
Sure. I can see that. I mean, we have a little bit of.
It makes it fair, I guess.
Yeah.
You can know what to expect, because you can't just look at a challenge and go, oh, I got this.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of them are just especially, again, the show is very height prejudiced. There was one where we had to balance like little 2x4s on a floating board, but to get to them, you had to step in these squares that were attached to the floating board. So if you hit the sides of one of the squares, it would knock all your boards over. And you had to set them up in order so that you could knock them over at the end and then knock over the goal, and that was to win the challenge. Well, Ty's got feet this big.
Right.
He's hopping in between
And you have
squares.
You have feet like that big.
I got long legs. I'm like a giraffe with skis on, size 18 dogs, trying to fit them in the squares diagonal. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun.
And
This is totally fair.
And Shaq's at home going, "What's Pollard bitching about?"
Yeah. So, I make that joke because, I knew there was going to be height challenges, and, they had to put a basketball shooting one in.
Well, yeah.
For the basketball dork. But, overall, I won a couple team challenges, but when it came to jury time and its individual challenges, I didn't win one. I was no threat.
No kidding.
Win a challenge.
I remember that.
Were just all, they were things like stand on a tiny a balancing board with both feet and hold a platter with 3 balls on it.
Yeah.
And balance. Again, Ty is like this. And Michelle actually, I think, won that.
He was a real yoga guy too, though, wasn't he? Yeah.
But also Michelle, she used to be a waitress. She's
Oh yeah. So
and I'm like,
bam.
and one, there was like one, it was like being crucified. And I don't mean to exaggerate what,
Yeah.
believe in those sort of things, but you had to stand there on a board slat that was this big, sticking out of the bottom. So your heels were on the bottom. It was this big. And you're standing up there and you had to hold on here. Well, I'm holding on, basically doing a pull-up the whole time because I've got about an inch of my heels.
Yeah.
Again, size 18, 200. I got there. I was 311. By the time I was done, I was 266.
So half your heel is on there.
Like a quarter, like an inch
Yeah.
of my heel.
It's like standing on your pinky toe.
And I'm like, okay, this is not going to work.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it's
done.
a food challenge. And so I was like, Jeff, just when it's time for food, I'm done. Like I just hung on because it was like, if you quit, you get food. Of course, who won that one? Ty. Guy weighs 45 pounds.
Right.
And it was half of his foot on the board.
Yeah.
He was just like, fine.
He actually came over hanging on a cross.
True story. He actually snuck into our country.
No kidding.
He came to America on a boat, and he was hidden, and he became a citizen. But
Yeah.
He actually was on a boat from Vietnam, and
Nice.
so also when we were back in Cambodia, he's like, "This is my
Yeah, this is
where I'm
home.
from."
Yeah.
He had no sicknesses. He
Yeah.
was like
He was eating bark.
the kind of, like he didn't get infected. He was just like boop-a-doo. He climbed a coconut tree, came down, scraped the hell out of both his thighs, like raw. A couple days later, he scabbed over, no infection. I was just like, oh, anybody else would have just been dead.
Yeah, somebody would have died.
Yeah. But anyway, there's more. Go ahead, fire away if you got any more questions about Survivor.
I can't wait to go back and rewatch the entire season. That's going to be so fun.
Okay, Jeff Probst. I get the gist. He's like a nice guy, personable, if you are so willing. Jeff Probst.
So as before the show, verbose, engaging, looks you in the eye, very cordial. When you're a contestant, the producers tell you, do not talk to Jeff. Don't make small talk with Jeff unless Jeff directly engages you. Do not yell out Jeff. Like they tell you that. So of course we're in lockdown. We're going through one of the challenges, and I was like, Jeff, Kansas, huh? Don't remind Jeff Probst that he's from Wichita, Kansas.
No kidding.
He did not like that.
I watched the show today, and that is one thing that I think has probably changed because he so is engaged with everybody. And even on this show, there's a girl that was on the show that is autistic, and she had a complete breakdown. And a guy from another team who's a fireman who she had met right away and told him she was the only guy she confided in. He literally said, Jeff, can I? And Jeff's like, yeah. So he went over there and literally she said, if I lose it, I want you to hug me as tight as you can and help me stop this. They were on the same team in the beginning, right? So we did that. She was just crying and so upset, and it calmed her down. And Jeff said, can you share a little bit of what happened there? And as she was talking, Jeff started crying. And he said, you're the first contestant. As he's going, you're the first contestant to make me freaking cry on the show, and in the end, she said she finished second. And they said, what do you think of your show? And she's like, that was the first one to make Jeff cry. So I feel like I did pretty good. But, it seems like there's a lot more engagement in the latter shows than what there was in the earlier shows.
I am really glad that you love Survivor.
I think it's a great show. I do. It's a great escape from real life.
Because I'm not buying that scene at all.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
You think the whole thing was faked out?
It
could have been.
He faked crying, but I know 100% they push your buttons. They love tears. They want people to cry.
Yeah.
Because they need that story arc. If everybody's getting along the whole time.
No, I get that totally. Yeah.
And so they probably pushed her buttons a little bit.
She was failing at what she was doing, and she went into like this panic.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. They probably did push all of those buttons to make it happen.
Testimonials, they'll push people too.
Oh, I can see that.
Get you to cry. So I'm not saying it was fake because they both cried, and she was autistic. I heard that story. But all I'm saying is it's quite possible that they tried to make that scene happen.
No, I can see that. Yeah. I mean, I told you my son was on a reality television show, and we found out how unreal reality television was. In fact, when MTV would say, we're going to go and film at the restaurant at this pizza place, then they'd be the first ones to leave so they didn't have to pay the bill.
Hey!
And MTV left me and my buddy Kurt with almost every bill of every single scene that we shot somewhere outside of our facilities, and we got stuck with the bill every time. MTV, great group of people there, MTV.
All right, so Survivor 48 just wrapped, and I do know they already have 49 planned. Today, I saw on TikTok Jeff Probst naming off those who are going to be in the upcoming Survivor 50.
I didn't even see that. I'm a Survivor fan, and I didn't even see that.
Spoiler alert, Scott is not on Survivor 50.
No.
Would you do it again?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I can't.
Well, there's that.
Okay, let's say none of those things had happened. Would you have done it again?
No. I had a blast once. I don't want to be away from my family again for a week of casting, another week of casting, and then 7 weeks out of the country.
No, not worth it.
I'm busy making memories with my kids. It was a blast. I don't regret it at all. But to do it again, I'm not trying to be famous.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, any thoughts on whether Survivor 50 will be the last?
No,
it's been forever. I'm like,
it's a huge.
It's got to end sometime, doesn't it?
They're making too much money. I mean, as long as they keep making money.
Yeah.
I don't want it to go away.
And what would you do?
We wait every year for Survivor to come out in the spring or in the winter, and then again in the fall. That's such a great show for us.
The Quinlan's like The Amazing Race.
And we watched that too. That's a great show
I got
too.
asked to go on Amazing Race.
No way.
After I got back from Survivor, it was a few months, and the producer called me. And he was like,
That would have been with your wife.
Well, no.
No.
They were like, "Would you do it again?" And I was like, "It's been a while. I probably would, but are you asking?" And they're like, "No, but we'll put you down." And they never called again about that. But somebody else, Jason, actually from my season, called me and he goes, "Hey, CBS about to call you." I go, "What now?" And he goes, "Amazing Race." I go, "All right, just don't get your hopes up."
Yeah.
And they called, and I was like, "All right, so I want this, and this, or I can't do it." And they were like, "Yeah, people don't usually make those demands." They just, I was like,
they're usually excited.
Most people aren't me,
right?
I've been on your show. It was awesome. And I want to go on Amazing Race. But if I get voted out from Amazing Race, I'm not going to just stay wherever I'm at.
I'm coming home.
Yeah. And you know me. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'll follow the rules, but I'm coming home. I said, I know for a fact a person on my season that didn't go back to Ponderosa with the rest of the pre-jury people. He went home.
Oh.
And he had been on a reality TV show before. And they gave him special pushes. So I was like, hey, it's not outside. And they're like, no, that's not true. I was like, it absolutely is true.
I know it is.
So what about Big Brother? Have you ever watched that one?
No, I've never watched that one. But no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If you're staying in the same place with somebody.
I couldn't do Big Brother. I couldn't do Survivor either. I'd be voted out so quick.
Dude, no way I can do that. I can't survive. All right. So I'm going to make this the last question, maybe, in Survivor-ness. So you're done recording the season. You go home, and now they start airing the episodes. Did you watch?
Yes.
Okay.
And we actually filmed before season 31.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then they told us after we left, they were like, just so you know,
You're 32.
the next season is 31. They're going to air this fall. You're going to be 32 next spring. We filmed in April and May. And so we had to wait almost a whole year to keep the secret.
Oh,
my gosh.
Didn't want to know.
Oh, no way.
When I got home, I had lost 46 pounds. She thought I won. And she didn't want to know. I was like skinny and tan. I was back to my playing weight, 266.
Yeah.
And she was just like, whoa. Like,
Hey, hottie, put
like,
down that coconut.
Yeah. Like, hey, here's a steak. You need to eat. You're too skinny. But yeah, so we kept the secret.
Okay, that'd be
we
hard.
started watching, and the hilarious thing about the day I got voted out is my mom. It's not funny, this part. My mom has a rare disease where she can't feel her feet. And it's not diabetes, but it's like that where your nerves, you get neuropathy, and all of a sudden it's just like there's no feeling. So she got up, and she was in assisted living at the time. She's full care now, but she was in assisted living at the time. And she got up, stepped wrong on her foot, broke her ankle. Couldn't feel it. But she was like, I think I might have broken my ankle. Calls me. Not in pain because she can't feel it.
Right.
And the nurse takes a picture. I was like, oh.
Yeah. That's not supposed to be that direction.
I was like, yeah, that's broken. So we went to the emergency room. My wife is 2 weeks from giving birth. We planned her C-section because our son was breech. He would not turn. They were trying to manipulate him. And so she's extremely pregnant. We're in the emergency room with my mom with a broken ankle, and Survivor is coming on. And during the show, my phone is going nuts.
Oh, I bet.
Because I know what's about to happen. Excuse me. And Survivor is setting up the post-exit interviews for the next day. I'm doing People Magazine and all these onlines and all these articles and stuff. And so they're calling me to set up appointments, and Dawn's like, you get voted out tonight, don't you? No.
Wow.
So while watching your season, I mean, are you getting pissed off because you're seeing what people are saying about you?
I mean, I was a little surprised at how, they kind of went villain hard on me. And, there were, obviously, because I'm a human, there were lots of moments of levity that they just didn't include.
Yeah.
And so as we were, Jason and I were both kind of like, well, that's kind of bullshit. Sorry if you have to edit that part out.
Nope.
We don't.
We've
No.
been cussing already.
Okay.
One time there was a cuss word in the opening line.
Leading up to the finale, which is live, Jeff called and was like, hey, I talked to Jason and what do you think about apologizing? And I said, oh, I'm sorry, for what? And he goes, well, for the bullying. And I was like, Jeffrey. And he was on speakerphone. My wife was in the car. And I said, excuse me, you edited
me into being a bully. Yeah.
That is fine. I am not complaining about that, nor will I ever, because it's reality TV. I know what I signed up for. But I'm not going to apologize for your edit.
Right.
Because you left out parts where I was singing and dancing with that girl.
Right.
You left the part where she was crying because it was raining, and I was holding her like a little girl because she was sobbing so hard and she couldn't sleep and she was tired and cold and everything was going wrong in her world, and I held that little girl. And so, you didn't show the depth of my entire character as a real human. So why would I apologize for you showing the parts where she was a nasty one and I responded appropriately to somebody that was annoying to everybody on the cast and to still probably refuses to talk to almost everybody on the cast?
Wow.
So that's not my apology to make, Jeff. I'll say what you want me to say. I'm not trying to get you to say what I want you to say. I said, well, Jeff, it sounds like you are.
Yeah.
He lost his temper. And that's how I knew at the finale I would not get any words in. I said 4 words during the finale. He directed my attention one time, and I said, you can say that. And I just deadpanned it. Because I did not want him to get anything out of me. I didn't want to freak out and give him some negative energy. I just said, you could say that. And that's all I said on the finale, because
Interesting.
I wasn't going to give him any ammo to use. See, this is why.
Yeah, he's a villain.
Yeah, no, I that was it. And that's not why I wouldn't do it again. Like, I don't hold grudges. I don't give a shit what he, thinks about me.
Right.
I don't care. But I just wouldn't go again because I don't want to be away from my family.
No, I don't blame you there.
There's another reason you probably wouldn't do the show again. We're going to get into that here in a moment. Are we going to break?
We should, at least the two of us should do our mid-show shot.
All right. We'll be right back.
Well, I want to say thanks for taking your time tonight on a Wednesday night. It's a Sunday night if you're watching the show. Really, it's a Wednesday night. Kind of impromptu, night to say, hey, can you do it tonight? I really appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate your friendship over the years. I've followed everything that you've gone through very closely, and, a lot of prayers towards your family. And I'm so glad that you're sitting right here today sharing this story. And it is amazing to me to know that you were famous before Survivor. So I find that really incredible as well.
I was shocked today when I found out you were on Survivor. Well, to all of you out there, thanks for watching Real Estate Makes Us Drink. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Please go donate to the cause because, you're going to help a lot of people. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers, Scott. Thank you.